Have you ever tried to describe someone's face and, you just end up saying something like, they have a big nose and small eyes? It feels kind of flat, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to build a whole toolkit of specific, vivid words that'll completely change how you see and describe faces. So let's dive in.
Seriously, think about it for a second. The words we pick can be the difference between a blurry, out-of-focus sketch and a super sharp, high-definition portrait. Most of us just rely on the same few basic words. But what if you could describe a face with the detail of an artist? That's exactly what we're going to learn how to do.
And this right here, this is the whole idea. Over on the left, you've got these vague terms like big nose. I mean, what does that even really mean? But on the right, a term like Roman nose, bam, it instantly creates a very specific image in your head. And this isn't just about sounding smarter, it's about actually communicating a clear picture. That's the power we're unlocking today.
So, how do we build this new vocabulary? Well, it's simple. We're just going to tackle the face piece by piece. And it makes sense to start right in the middle, with the one feature that pretty much defines a person's profile, the nose.
Okay, first up, the Roman nose. You've probably seen this shape in old statues and classical art. That's actually where it gets its name. The key thing to look for, like it says here, is that high, straight bridge. It makes this strong, prominent line right down the center of the face, and it gives someone a really distinct, almost powerful look.
Next, let's talk about the pointy nose. Now, if the Roman nose was all about the bridge, this one is all about the tip. It's thin, it's narrow, and it comes to a very sharp, clear point. Just that one little detail can give a face a look of real sharpness or intelligence.
And for our last nose example, we have the crooked nose. This basically describes any nose that isn't perfectly straight. It might have a little bump or a bend in the bridge, and while it can just be natural, a lot of the time it tells the story, right? You might think of a boxer or an athlete. It really adds a ton of character to a face.
Okay, now let's move out from the center of the face to the features that are so important for framing our expressions. We're talking about the eyes, the brows, and the cheeks. I mean, so much of how we communicate without words happens right here, so having the right words is absolutely key.
Starting up top with the brows, bushy is just a fantastic word. It immediately paints a picture of eyebrows that are super thick, really full, and maybe even a little bit wild. It might seem like a small detail, but believe me, thick brows can frame the eyes in a very bold and expressive way. Now for the eyes themselves, let's look at sunken eyes. This just means the eyes are set deeper into the skull, not right at the surface. A really easy way to remember this is to think of a sunken ship. It's deep down, right? And because of that depth, it can sometimes create shadows underneath, which might look like dark circles.
And moving on to the cheeks, we have dimples. You know those charming little dents that just pop up when someone smiles. They can totally change a person's whole expression, adding this sense of fun or youthfulness. The main thing is they're tied to an expression. They show up with a smile and disappear.
And here is where it all starts to come together. Just listen to this sentence. He has a Roman nose, bushy eyebrows, and dimples. See that? With just those three specific details, a really clear picture starts to form in your mind, doesn't it? It is so much more powerful than just saying he has a big nose and thick eyebrows.
All right, let's finish this portrait. We're moving down to the lips and chin, and we're also going to look at some other key details, like skin texture and hair. These are really the finishing touches that make a description feel complete.
So when we're talking about lips, full lips is an excellent descriptor. It simply means they aren't thin, they're more rounded, they have a natural puffiness, and you can see a lot of texture. You know, like the actress Angelina Jolie, who is pretty famous for her full lips. That's the image it creates.
Now for some skin details, starting with a mole. This is just a small, dark spot on the skin. A key difference here is that it's often raised, like you could actually feel a little bump. And usually it's just a single spot. Sometimes, depending on where it is, people even call it a beauty mark. Now it's really important not to get a mole confused with freckles. Freckles are also small brown spots, but they have two big differences. First, they're totally flat against the skin. And second, they almost always show up in clusters, often sprinkled right across the nose and cheeks. This slide makes that difference crystal clear. The easiest way to think about it is like this. A mole is usually a single, raised, kind of 3D spot, whereas freckles are flat, 2D spots that hang out in groups. Getting this right is such a simple way to make your descriptions way more accurate.
And finally, for this section, the word bald. This one's pretty straightforward, right? It just means a person has very little or no hair on their head. And that could be a natural thing that happens over time,
Or it could be a style choice, like when someone decides to shave their head. Okay, we've gathered all of our tools, we've got our new vocabulary ready to go. Now for the really fun part, putting it all together. Let's see how these specific words can combine to create a full, detailed, and way more interesting portrait of a person. Just look at the difference this makes. We've gone from some vague idea to this: a crooked nose, full lips, a few freckles on an oval-shaped face, and he's bald. Every single one of those bullet points adds another specific, clear layer, building a much richer and more memorable image in our minds. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, you now have this toolkit. You've officially moved beyond those basic words that everybody uses. So the next time you need to describe someone, maybe you're telling a story to a friend or even writing something, you have the vocabulary to do it with real precision and impact. So I'll leave you with a little challenge. The next time you're really looking at a face, a friend, a character in a movie, maybe even your own reflection in the mirror, what are you going to see now that you might not have noticed before? And more importantly, how are you going to describe it?